One shot, one decision, one moment. That's all that separates glory from disaster. In golf, there's no room for error. No substitutes, no timeouts. Each player stands alone. No safety net, no excuses. You can lead for 71 holes. You can be one putt away from the title. And in that instant, before thousands, lose it all. This isn't a video about victories. We won't talk about perfect birdies or smiling champions. We'll talk about collapses, about the moments no player wants to remember and no one can forget, about great names who crumbled under pressure, about titles lost on the final hole, about rules ignored, about puts that should never have been missed, about tears off camera, and silences that speak louder than any interview. Because in this sport, defeat doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes over the next few minutes, we'll show you how cruel golf can be. So cruel that not even the best in the world are safe. Get ready to see how, shot by shot, certainties dissolve, championships vanish, and legends break too. Lexi Thompson, the U.S. Open Nightmare, the common tenor in Cora Sura Se, Sunday, U.S. Women's Open, the course, the relentless Olympic club. Lexi Thompson, one of the greats in women's golf, leads. Not by one stroke, by 5. Everything seems in place. Her game, her focus, her advantage, it's her tournament. In the first 9 holes, everything goes according to plan. Birdies, composure. But the Olympic doesn't forgive distractions. And pressure builds in silence. On the 11th hole, the first mistake arrives. An unexpected bogey. Not critical. She's still ahead. But something changes. Her swing loses speed. Her movements no longer show determination, they show doubt. On the 14th hole, another bogey. The margin shrinks. And then, the 17th. Error after error. A poor tee shot. A bad chip. A long putt that doesn't drop. Double bogey. The lead is gone. The tension is visible. In every gesture, every breath. She reaches the 18th with one last chance. A putt for par. To reach the playoff. To save the week. She strikes. The ball rolls and slips left. No shout. No anger. Lexi lowers her head, picks up the ball, and walks away. It's over. Yuka Sasso, young and composed, is crowned champion. Lexi, meanwhile, faces another devastating ending. It wasn't a disastrous round. It wasn't one single mistake. It was a series of cracks that finally broke her. In golf, tournaments aren't won on Thursday. They're won on Sunday. And that Sunday, Lexi Thompson lost far more than a title. Rory McIlroy. 4 holes, 1 collapse. U.S. Open. 2024. Pinehurst. No. 2. One of the most demanding courses on the planet. Rory McIlroy. 4-time major champion. But he hasn't won one in a decade. And now, he's 4 holes away from ending that drought. 2 strokes ahead. Everything in his hands. On the 15th hole, his first major test, par 3, demands absolute precision. He misses the green. Can't save par. Bogey. The lead narrows. But he's still in front. Hole 16. Should be manageable. His second shot isn't clean. It lands far. Tricky. He has a short put to save par. He strikes. And the ball drifts away. Another bogey. He's no longer leading, he's tied. His expression changes. Shoulders drop. Pressure moves in without asking. Hole 17. Rory steadies himself. Par. But is no longer in control of the tournament. He reaches the 18th. 1 stroke away from a playoff. A putt just over a meter long. He hits it. The ball catches the edge and lips out. Third bogey in 4 holes. Bryson DeChambeau, steady and flawless, is crowned champion. Rory sinks into silence. No interviews. No words to the press. Only a statement the next day. I'm going to take some time away from golf. It was a technical collapse, but also an emotional one, because pressure doesn't just make you miss. Sometimes it empties you from within, and when you've waited 10 years for redemption, losing it over the final 4 holes doesn't hurt, it destroys. Jean Van de Velde, the most ridiculous hole in history. British Open, 1999. Jean Van de Velde, a name that went from promise to symbol, not for what he won, but for how he lost. He's leading the tournament. Final hole, 3 shots ahead. All he needs, a double bogey. He doesn't even have to play well. Just be cautious. But caution never arrived. From the tee, he pulls out the driver, swings hard. The ball goes into the rough on the right. Tricky, but still manageable. Second shot. Instead of playing short and safe, he goes for the green. Big mistake. The ball bounces off a metal railing, hits a rock, and ends up in even worse rough. Third shot. Straight into the berry burn the creek guarding the green. And then, the unthinkable. Van de Velde takes off his shoes, rolls up his pants, and wades barefoot into the water. Seriously. He's standing in the middle of the stream, debating if he can play from there, while millions watch live. Finally, he reconsiders, takes a penalty, drops, puts the ball on the green, put, triple bogey, tie. He loses the playoff, loses the major, loses control. Since then, his name hasn't been a synonym for victory, but for warning. Don't do a Van de Velde, a phrase that, since 1999, has been repeated in every golf language. 1 hole, 3 mistakes, an ice-cold bath, and an eternity as the ultimate example of what should never be done in the history of sports. Paddy Sheehan. An 11-stroke lead wasn't enough. U.S. Women's Open, 1990. Patty Sheehan, world number 1. Dominating from day one, shot after shot, green after green. And when the final round begins, she holds an 11-shot lead. Not just a lead, a highway to the title. But golf doesn't respect statistics. In the opening holes, everything remains under control. It all seems steady until the tension starts to seep in. A couple of bogeys. Nothing alarming. She's still 7 ahead. But then, the real collapse. She loses accuracy, starts missing fairways. Short puts slip away. Decisions turn erratic. On the other side, Betsy King, the defending champion, begins to close the gap. Unhurried, mistake-free. The margin tightens, the holes go by faster, and the lead vanishes. She reaches the 18th, needing a birdie to force a playoff. She gets her chance, but the putt doesn't drop. It's over. From plus 11 to defeat, a collapse as improbable as it was painful. Years later, Patty Sheehan admitted, "It was the hardest loss of my career, because it wasn't the course that beat me, it was myself. Losing from behind can hurt, but losing from the top is something else entirely, because the bigger the lead, the longer the fall." Dustin Johnson, don't read the rules, lose a major. PGA Championship. 2010. Whistling Straits. Dustin Johnson is 1 hole away from entering a playoff for his first major. He's playing well, staying composed, everything is lined up, until he steps onto the 18th hole. His tee shot goes right. Off the fairway, but not in danger. It lands on a sandy surface, worn down by thousands of spectators' footsteps. It looks like hard ground. No ropes, no sign of a bunker. Spectators are standing all over the area. Johnson grounds his club, settles in, plays his shot. Everything seems fine. He finishes the hole, tied for the lead, ready for the playoff, until an official approaches him. 2-stroke penalty. Why? Local rule. At Whistling Straits, every sandy area, even those trampled by spectators or outside the visual course boundaries, is considered a bunker. And in a bunker, you can't ground your club before hitting the ball. Dustin Johnson did. Not to cheat. Not for advantage. Out of ignorance. Result: he's out of the playoff, loses his first big chance, and becomes the subject of one of the most painful penalties in modern golf history. Since that day, every tour player has learned the hard way. Read the local rules. All of them. Always. Because in golf, sometimes it's not your opponent who beats you, it's your own oversight. Kyle Stanley, triple bogey to lose a title. Farmers Insurance Open, Torrey Pines, 2012. Kyle Stanley, leading the tournament, 1 hole away from earning his first PGA Tour victory. 3 shots ahead. Par 5. The title seems locked up. He doesn't even need a birdie. Not even a par. A bogey would do. From the tee. Steady. No risk. He plays safely down the middle. Everything looks good. Second shot. Also conservative. Laves the ball 77 yards from the green. Now, all he needs is to hit the green and to putt. But then, the ball lands on the frontier of the green, spins back, and keeps rolling. It rolls farther and drops into the water. Total silence. Penalty. Another attempt. He leaves it long. 2 putts later, triple bogey. From holding the trophy to a playoff with Brandt Snedeker. And emotionally, he's already broken. In the extra hole, he falters. Snedeker wins. And Stanley collapses in the press room. In front of reporters, he says nothing. He just lowers his head and cries. Real tears. No anger. No excuses. Just pure pain. A week later, he would win in Phoenix. But that Sunday at Torrey Pines stayed with him forever. Because some defeats leave a mark, and others break you in front of the entire world. Michel V. Forget to sign. Get eliminated. State Farm Classic. 2008. Michel Vie is just 18 years old, but already one of the most followed stars in women's golf. She's coming off a flawless third round, 67 strokes. Just 1 shot off the lead. Everyone starts talking about her comeback. The media, the fans, the course. It feels like her moment. But when she reaches the locker room, no one notices. No one says a word. Michelle changes clothes, relaxes, leaves the scoring area, and with that simple gesture, eliminates herself from the tournament. She didn't sign her scorecard. According to USGA Rule 66B, if a player returns a scorecard without a signature and leaves the designated area, they are disqualified. It doesn't matter if the score is correct. It doesn't matter if it was an honest mistake. The card becomes official. The error, irreversible. By the time they realize it, it's too late. Michelle is disqualified. Her brilliant 67 counts for nothing. Goodbye to Sunday. Goodbye to the title chase. Goodbye to one of her best tournaments of the season. And the cruelest part, she didn't miss a single shot. Just a signature. In golf, the rule book is cold. And when it's broken, it shows no mercy. Not to rookies. Not to stars. Michelle V learned the hardest lesson of her career. Without even touching a club. Bryson DeChambeau. Calculations that couldn't save the disaster. European Open. 2018. Bryson DeChambeau. Nicknamed the scientist of golf. A player who measures everything. Wind, humidity, speed, angle of impact, ball spin, and everything was going right. He was leading the tournament. 3 holes to play. 3 par 5 seconds. The perfect setup to seal the victory. But not even the most precise formulas could predict what was coming. Hole 16. Bogey. The lead narrows. Hole 17. Another bogey. Now he's tied. But there's still the 18th. Par 5. Ideal to recover. He drives with power. Seeks a strategic position. And when everything seems under control, he sends his second shot straight into the water. Penalty. He drops. Reaches the green. 3 putts. Triple bogey. Final round. 78. He falls from the lead to a tie for 13th place. Meanwhile, Richard McIlroy, a player without a single win in 285 tournaments, makes par and wins. The worst part wasn't the score, it was what came after. During the trophy ceremony, DeChambeau barely acknowledges anyone. No smile. No congratulations. Cold. Expressionless. Widely criticized. Because when you lose with grace, the public stays with you. But when you fall apart and don't even recognize your opponent, you lose more than a tournament. That day, DeChambeau learned something that isn't found in any data model. You can't calculate pressure, and respect can't be measured either. Greg Norman, the Masters that broke him. Masters Tournament, Augusta. 1996. Greg Norman. Nicknamed the Shark. World number 1. Global star. Owner of one of the most admired swings in golf. And as Sunday begins, he leads the tournament by 6 strokes. No doubt. It's his tournament. His moment. During the opening holes, everything seems steady. But slowly, his game begins to erode. A missed putt. A chip that comes up short. Bogey on 9. Double bogey on 12. The lead shrinks, and with it, his confidence. On the other side, Nick Faldo, cold as marble, starts closing in. He doesn't miss. Doesn't flinch. Just plays like a champion. At Amen Corner, Norman unravels. A shot into the water. Another poor approach. Another bogey. And then, the disaster is complete. He finishes the round with a 78. Faldo shoots 67. Final margin, he loses by 5. From leading by 6 to losing by 11. When the tournament ends, Faldo doesn't celebrate. He doesn't raise his arms. He simply walks over, embraces him, and whispers, "I don't know what to say." Greg Norman would never win another major. That Sunday at Augusta, he didn't just lose a tournament, he lost something deeper, the chance to close his career with the victory everyone expected. Sometimes, golf doesn't punish you with one mistake. It punishes you with a slow fall so public, it becomes impossible to forget. Thomas Bjorn, trapped in the bunker, Open Championship, 2003, Royal Street, Georges, Thomas Bjorn. 3 strokes ahead, 4 holes to go. He's played flawlessly all week, handled the wind, the rough, the pressure. Now, he just needs to close it out, play smart, stay calm. He reaches the 16th hole, par 3, a short hole but treacherous. The green is guarded by a deep bunker with steep vertical walls. His tee shot lands right there, in the bunker. Not ideal, but for a professional, getting out in one shot is routine. Bjorn sets up, swings, the ball rises and rolls back, right to his feet. Second attempt. Swings harder. Same result. Third attempt. Finally, the ball escapes. Double bogey. The lead evaporates. On the next hole, another bogey. And with that, his tournament is over. Ben Curtis, an unknown ranked 396th in the world, wins his first major. And Thomas Bjorn loses the one that seemed inevitable. For years, whenever collapses were mentioned, he was the visual reference. Endless replays from that bunker, the ball rolling back like punishment. Later he said, "I thought I'd never get out of there, not out of the bunker, but out of the moment. Because golf doesn't need 18 holes to destroy you. Sometimes, one obstacle is enough." Hale Irwin. A mindless stroke. British Open. 1983. Hale Irwin, three-time U.S. Open champion. A veteran. Serious. Precise. A player who rarely makes mistakes and never out of carelessness. Or so we thought. It's the third round. He's in contention. He reaches the 14th hole with a 6-meter birdie putt. He misses. Nothing unusual. The ball stops just a few centimeters from the hole. Irwin, without thinking, walks up to it. Doesn't set up, doesn't pause, doesn't check the angle. He just hits it and misses. Yes, he misses a tap-in from less than 10 centimeters. The commentators are speechless. The crowd goes silent. His playing partner doesn't even look at him. The broadcast takes seconds to confirm what everyone suspects. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't intentional. It was real. Hale Irwin would go on to lose the tournament by a single stroke. One, and it wasn't because of a bad swing or a poor approach. It was because of a lapse in focus. Years later, he would say, "It was the stupidest moment of my career. And I still remind myself of it every time I face a short putt." In golf, every shot counts. Even the ones you think don't require thought. Adam Scott. 4 holes. 4 mistakes. Goodbye claret jug. British Open. 2012. Adam Scott. After 3 days of flawless golf, he enters the final stretch of the tournament with a 4-shot lead. 4 holes to play. Confidence is absolute. Everything's working. Until it isn't. Hole 15. Bogey. Nothing alarming. He's still leading. But his expression changes. Hole 16. Wayward tee shot. Can't recover. Second bogey. Now only 2 shots ahead. Hole 17. Tight puts. Misread lines. Another bogey. And suddenly, the lead is gone. But there's still the 18th. One last chance. A solid drive. Good position. He has a putt for par to force a playoff. He strokes it. The ball catches the edge and slides past. 4th consecutive bogey. And with it, the title. Ernie Els, who had already finished, wasn't even in competition mode. He was watching from the practice green. When they told him he'd won, he couldn't believe it. Adam Scott doesn't yell, doesn't rage. He just takes a deep breath and smiles sadly. Later, he said, "I didn't lose the Open because of one bad shot. I lost it because I couldn't stop the fall." And that's exactly what makes it so painful. Because sometimes you don't drown from one wave. You drown because you don't stop sinking. Kim, the shortest missed putt in history, Kraft Nabisco Championship. 2012. One step away from her first major, leading by 1 stroke. Final hole. After a clean approach, she faces a putt of just over 30 centimeters. A stroke anyone on the course could make with their eyes closed. It's not even considered a challenge. She sets up, breathes, strikes. The ball rolls and doesn't even touch the hole. Missed. Total silence. The camera captures her reaction in real time. No scream, no hands to her head. She just blinks, as if she still can't believe it. She's gone from winning a major to entering a playoff. And there, it ends. Sun Yong-yu plays solidly. Kim, still in shock, can't respond. She loses, emotionally collapses, but remains standing with composure, with grace, while the world replays her mistake on an endless loop. For years, that putt became a reference point, not for its technique, but for how impossible it seemed to miss. Later she said, "I've made that putt thousands of times, but that one I'll never forget." In golf, the hole doesn't change size. Your mind does. And sometimes it's not the green that shrinks, it's your confidence. Tiger Woods, the first time he couldn't close. Tiger Woods. 14 majors, countless victories, and one almost mythical fact. Every time he led a major after 54 holes, he won. 100% success rate. Unbeatable. Until that Sunday. PGA Championship, 2009. Hazeltine National. Tiger starts 2 shots ahead in the final round. Everything follows his usual script. Control, precision, composure. But the putter doesn't cooperate. The birdies don't fall. The lead doesn't grow. And then comes Y. A. Yang, a South Korean, ranked 110th in the world. No one had him on the radar. Yang plays fearlessly, takes every chance, and on the 14th hole, he makes an eagle. Tiger misses his. The lead slips away, and for the first time in a long while, he looks nervous. On the 18th hole, with everything on the line, Yang hits one of the best approach shots of the year. A soaring shot over a tree that lands less than 10 feet from the pin. Birdie. And with it, the win. Tiger finishes second. For the first time in his career, he can't close out a major from the lead. The perfect record broken. The aura of invincibility gone. Yang becomes the first Asian player ever to win a men's major. Tiger, with no excuses, shakes hands. But in his eyes is something unseen for years. Vulnerability. That day, the world learned something. If even Tiger can fall, no one is safe. Lexi Thompson de Kunda. The collapse that crowned another. Lexi Thompson, once again in the lead. Once again with history on her side. Woo. After 3 brilliant days, she starts the final round with authority. And by the 10th hole, she's 5 strokes ahead. But the course doesn't forgive. And memory doesn't either. The mistakes begin. Wayward shots, uncertain approaches. Put after put that won't drop. On the back 9, Lexi plays on the edge and that edge breaks her. 41 strokes on the second half. 5 over par. She reaches the 18th needing par to force a playoff. She has a short put and misses. Again, just like in 2017 and so many other times. The title slips away. But this time, someone else was ready. Yuka Sasso, 19 years old, quiet, precise, mistake-free. She plays her round with the calm of a veteran, goes into the playoff, and wins the first major champion born in the Philippines. The celebration is hers, the story too. Lexi, meanwhile, stands once more on the green, staring into the void. Sometimes, a defeat doesn't just define you. It defines the one who was waiting for their moment, because in golf, when one collapses, another is born. Sam Snead, the major that always escaped him. Sam Snead. 82 PGA Tour victories. An all-time record. 7 majors. One of the most elegant swings ever seen. An icon. A giant. But in his resume, there's a void. One blank space. The U.S. Open. He tried more than 30 times. Finished second on 4 occasions. Always close. Never champion. The most painful chance, 1947, St. Louis Country Club. Snead is in position to win, playing solid. He reaches the end of the playoff with a short put to extend it. Barely 2.5 feet. The kind of stroke he could make in his sleep. But that day, he misses. Jack Fleck wins. Snead is devastated. In later interviews, he summed it up in one harsh line. That was the putt that haunted me until my last day. He won everything else, the Masters, the PGA, the British, and more tournaments than anyone. But never the U.S. Open. With each edition that passed, the pressure grew. And with it, his frustration. He never found that trophy. And for that reason, his legend, though enormous, is also marked by the cruelest emptiness. Because sometimes, no matter how much you win, what you never achieve defines you just as much. Sergio García. From leading by 6 to nothing. Quail Hollow Championship, 2005. Sergio García, the young Spanish prodigy, one of the best ball strikers in the world. He arrives on Sunday with a 6-shot lead. Everything seems decided. His game flows. His irons are sharp. The crowd follows him as if he's already the champion. But from the very first hole, something feels off. His posture, his rhythm, his expression, and what follows is a slow implosion. Double bogey on the 7th, 3 putts on the 12th. Misreads, poor decisions. The swing remains perfect, but the mind doesn't. Vijay Singh, relentless, starts closing the gap. He plays with patience, without mistakes. Sergio, on the other hand, runs out of answers. The lead evaporates. On the 18th, with no chance left, he turns in a scorecard no one can quite explain. From 6 shots ahead to missing the playoff, the press isn't kind. Neither is he. His comments are defensive. His demeanor, frustrated. Another lost tournament. Once again, self-inflicted. For years, he was accused of not knowing how to close, of lacking patience, of being unable to control his temper. And though he would later win his long-awaited Masters, Quail Hollow remained a clear example of his worst version, brilliant, yet unstable, because there are technical defeats, and there are emotional ones. And this was both Doug Sanders, the putt that changed his fate, British Open, 1970, St Andrews, the home of golf, Doug Sanders, charismatic, controversial, unique, with 20 PGA Tour victories, but no majors. Until now, he's leading the tournament. Final hole, after a great approach, he's left with a putt of less than 1 meter, to beat none other than Jack Nicklaus, to win his first major, to crown his career with the jewel he was missing. Sanders lines up, but something bothers him. He sees a speck, a small mark on the line. He doesn't step back, doesn't reset, doesn't breathe. He just bends down, wipes it, and puts. The ball drifts right. Missed. The crowd doesn't react. They can't believe it. Tie. The next day, in the playoff, Nicklaus wins. Doug Sanders would never come that close again. For decades, that stroke resurfaced in every interview. He would say, "I could have made it with my eyes closed." But that day, they were open. A brilliant career, but defined by a 90-centimeter mistake. Because in golf, playing well isn't enough. You have to finish. And do it when the weight of the world is on you. When golf destroys you from within, you've seen it again and again. They weren't just mistakes. They were collapses, slow-motion falls, breakdowns that no new round can erase. Golf isn't a sport that shouts. It's not violent. It has no clock. But that doesn't make it any less cruel. Here, the enemy isn't always the course. Sometimes it's the shortest putt, the simplest hole, or the voice in your head whispering, "Don't miss." Because this game doesn't forgive you for being good, it demands you be perfect. And when you're not, it makes you remember, over and over, for years. In your own mind, no other sport leaves you so alone so quickly, and none punishes you so harshly for so little. Every player on this list lost more than just a tournament. Some lost a season. Others, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. and some lost a part of themselves. But still, they came back. Because golf doesn't just destroy you, it forces you to rebuild, and that, in the end, is the real story of this game. Not who wins, but who survives. Thank you for making it this far, for joining us in this journey through the hardest moments this sport has ever seen. Because beyond the trophies, golf is also made of defeats, and understanding them is part of loving it. If this video made you see golf differently, we invite you to subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment. Which of these collapses struck you the most? And which one do you think is missing? See you in the next video. And remember, in golf, as in life, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn.